my goodness! Holy sh!
Hey folks, let me tell you what's up today. I recently struck a deal to buy a pair of 1965 Mercury Comet 2-doors. I believe they're both Calientes too, if memory serves me correct, but that's beside the point. I have timed it. I'm going to go make a trip to pick up one of them, and I've timed it to where I'm also going to be going to a swap meet in that area. The drive is about roughly an 8-hour drive one way. The car I'm going to pick up has no engine or transmission in it, so it's a fairly small car, and I'm going to take my most lightweight car trailer. And I got to thinking I really don't need to run my 1-ton Ford van with a 460 in it to do that. I thought it'd be kind of nice if I just had a half-ton to do that with, but I don't have a half-ton. Then I thought, well, it'd be good video content to go find some derelict half-ton, get it running, and see if it can survive the trip. And then I realized I don't need to buy one. I have like 3 of them on my property already. So I'm picking one out, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. This particular Flareside I've owned for a year. I bought it in non-running condition, brought it home, dumped it out in the field, and haven't done anything with it since. So let's go on into the video, shall we? All right, so I possibly picked the worst half-ton project truck around here that I've got, but you know why I picked it? Because it's a Flareside, and I really like Flaresides. Let's go over some of the big problems with it. Underneath, I don't know if this thing's going to need a fuel pump or not. That's what I was told, but I didn't buy it from the last owner that actually drove it. It's passed hands a couple of times, but underneath, when I was unhooking the chains from moving it up here, yeah, the gas tank, the rear gas tank anyway, you can tell it's been leaking. This rear leaf spring hanger is in really bad shape. It'll need replaced. I probably should put a hitch on this nice exhaust there, conduit. Yeah. Let's see here. Here's the shifter bushing up here is going to need replaced. It is just sloppy. Those are easy to do though. Pretty cheap. Now here's a really big issue. See those frame rails? See how much further the passenger side one sticks out than the driver's side? It's because this truck's been in an accident at some point, and that whole frame rail along the driver's side has a huge bow in it. So yeah, this probably isn't a good idea, but yeah, the difficult things are going to be a little more interesting. Right now, just like my F-250 revival, this not only is the key, well, the key is there's just a broken off piece of key, so I need to get that ignition cylinder out without destroying this column. So I'm going to get busy, see if I can get that done. Okay, so my plan is, if you're familiar with these Ford ignition locks, where is it? Oh, there it is. Anyway, you see that little pin right there? If you can depress that pin, that will let the entire lock slide out of the column. In order to depress that pin, you need the key, and the key needs to be turned into the run position. Obviously, I don't have the key. I did get the broken piece out. It was the wrong key, which we won't go into that. That was my fault. But anyway, what I'm going to try to do, this isn't the actual lock I'll be using in it. I'm just using this as an example. But yeah, I'm going to try to drill this pin out on that lock and then see if I can get hold of the lock and pull it out that way. Looks like a pretty hard pin. I don't know if my drill bit's just dull or if that pin's really hard. Like all I'm doing is eating up the aluminum around the steering column housing. Hit something hard in there. Okay, I decided to stop filming and just get some work done because it would be a lot easier just to explain afterwards what's happened instead of trying to edit out all the foul words I would be using. So far what I've managed to do, a little bit of drilling and chiseling and whatnot, and get all of this out of here. And I was hoping, my theory was to get enough material from out of here that it would allow me to push the pin here up through and release what's left of the lock. I do have the pin pushed through. If you carefully look, you can see it right there. But as of yet, the lock has still not come out. I think what I'm going to have to do is concentrate on nibbling this away with a chisel or something in order to get that pin more free. I think if I had some way to get in there and get a better grab on it, I think it would come out. Or yeah, I think it's just kind of in a bind. So if I can get some more of that 8 away to where that pin's not really so much in a bind, I think the rest will come out. Okay, you can see the pin. It is pushed in, but yeah, there's something still holding it. I can't quite get in there and grab that and get that out. It's not this piece back here because it's loose and independent on its own. I guess probably what I'm gonna have to do is just keep going around with the chisel and carefully knocking away pieces of that outer circle. Alright, after a little more chiseling, I managed to get a little bit more out, but the real key to it was being able to get this hook tool. I got enough room on the back side of it, got the hook tool in there and kept pulling at it. It kept slowly coming out. I finally got the bulk of it out of there. I still got that tit in there. I got to get it. Well, it just fell out there right there looking at it. I'm sure there's a little bit more to get out of there to get into that gear wheel though. Alright, the hook tool came to the rescue again. This piece here might be a tricky little booger to get back in once I get the lock, the new lock, getting that in exactly the right spot. But we'll have to see. Okay, so I've managed to carefully put that gear back in. And before it gets dark here today, I'm going to pick this up. I can simulate using the... Yeah, it's not going to pick it up, is it? There we go. So there I can simulate the starting action. I'm just going to release the tension so it's in the on position. I'm going to go hook up the battery and see if I can hear the fuel pump run, and then maybe check and see if I got spark. Alright, let's see what happens here. I hear clicking, but I don't hear a fuel pump running. Let's try switching tanks. Hey! I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but rear tank pump's doing something. Put a fuel pressure gauge on it. So after considerable struggle, I managed to get the fuel pressure gauge on there. There was fuel coming out of the rail when I was hooking it up, and it doesn't smell too terrible bad. So. Okay, that's not a good sign. Well, I don't know. I can see fuel dripping out of there. Maybe the seal isn't good. Alright, I got the spark dewbobber on there. Let's see what she says. Yep, got spark, just not getting any fuel. Well, it does run. Let's try a more drastic measure. Well, the engine didn't run that long, but it didn't smoke for that little amount of time, so I'm gonna, no hammering or banging or thumping or knocking. I think the engine's, I'm gonna call it good and start getting some parts ordered. Well, it's the next day now. Before I started buying parts and putting a lot of money and time into this, I wanted to investigate. I depressed the Schrader valve on the back of the fuel rail and kept touching the battery to the post connection. And yeah, all I was getting was spitting. I thought, well, you know, the stupidly obvious, maybe it's out of fuel. So I went ahead and threw 5 gallons of gas in the tank, and still I couldn't get anything out of it. And I went about doing some other things. Came back here a little bit ago and tried it again, and now it seems to be circulating fuel. Near as I can tell, the pump is dragging down like it's actually making pressure. I'm sure the camera's not picking it up, but instead of just a hollow howling, it's actually, yeah, that pump is dragging way down. Let's see if it'll start. It's pretty cold out today. fuel pressure gauge back on it now. I know the pump's doing something. It just apparently ended up not making enough pressure to keep it running. I would really like to get this thing running before I go put a bunch of money and time into it because of that bent frame issue. I'd kind of like to know whether that's going to be... Yeah, I don't want to put a bunch of money and time into getting it running and then go for the first drive and find out that it's... That's why I got parked, because of that bent frame, which is most likely the case. But I'd like to know that now so I can change my game plan. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. It is making pressure. I think it's making too much. I think these, I'll have to double check, but I think these fuel injection systems should only make in the high 30s. And here's what I'm getting when I get it pumped up. Okay, good. Nope, way up there. I don't think they're supposed to make that much pressure, but I'll have to double check. It's maintaining it. Or maybe I just need a warmer day to do this. Just leave it sit there chugging a while, it'll get some heat in the engine and come out of it. I've got 57 pounds of fuel pressure at the moment, and it is running on its own fuel injector. Sounds like an old tractor out the back of the exhaust. You know, that kind of tells me it's not hitting on all 6 cylinders. But yeah, I'll let it just keep stumbling along. Maybe it'll get enough heat build up in it that they'll all kick in. Been running a couple minutes now. As you can tell, it has smoothed out a little bit. I topped off the antifreeze. I had to take the fuel pressure gauge off because I had a pretty good leak going on back there at the fitting. I don't know what that was all about, but it was leaking all over the exhaust. But yeah, it's running a little better. Maybe it'll come out of it completely. Okay, it's been running maybe 15 minutes now. The Antifreeze level dropped, and I poured two more gallons in it so far, and it still wants more. It doesn't seem to be leaking anywhere. Doesn't appear to be going out the tailpipe. Has smoothed out a bit, but it's still got a little bit of a lope to it. The exhaust still sounds awful, probably because it's, yeah, straight piped, no mufflers, running through kinked up conduit. Go get some more antifreeze mixed up and run out of daylight as usual. Alright, it's been running maybe a half hour. I finally got the antifreeze topped off. Still can't find any leaks where it's going. The heater circuit doesn't seem to be flowing, so I'll probably have to flush the heater core out, but yeah, that's a minor inconvenience at this point. I think working the throttle, it's kind of sluggish and not very smooth, so it might need some tune-up parts or something. I'm going to go ahead and pull it around the shop, air up the tires. I can't go for a very long drive today, but I should be able to go for a little quick one, find out how it is. Okay, so I went on a little short drive after airing up the tires. This thing is an absolute turd. It shakes and shudders going down the road. I don't know. I might have to pull the plug on it. The transmission makes a little bit of noise coasting. Yeah, I don't know. I think tomorrow I'll go ahead and pull out the plugs and check out the ignition, see if I can't get it running a little bit smoother. There's no way this thing is going to tow a trailer, not in its current state. And it does have 275 gearing in the rear end like a car, and I was planning on changing that, but I don't think even 410s would help it if I can't get it running better. As far as drivability, I only got it up into first and second. It's getting dark out and there's no headlights. Figured I'd better stay close to home. I'll get some more gas, throw in it tomorrow, check out the ignition, see if I can get it running a little bit smoother and better, and we'll take it from there. Might have to go to a plan B or a plan C even. I do like the little short wheelbase on it. It sure is maneuverable, but yeah, it's just an absolute turd. Alright, it's the next day. I'm back out here at it. Parked it here in the driveway and tried to get everything sitting straight so I could see. I doubt the camera's picking this up, but it sure looks to me, like I mentioned, it's the driver's side frame, but sighting down the length of the truck, like I said, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it sure looks to me like the truck is bowed to the passenger side, which makes no sense to me. It should be bowed to the driver's side with that frame rail being buckled over there. You can't tell looking at the driver's side front wheel. It sits way further back in the wheel well than on the passenger side. But anyway, I guess that doesn't matter. There's not much I can do about the bent frame. Today I'm going to mess around with the ignition system. I'm hopefully going to find out, hopefully going to find something wrong. It acted like there was a couple of cylinders not kicking in yesterday. I've got a manual here. I'm really hoping that I can find two spark plug wires that are in the wrong place, or some other simple thing that'll fix it and get it running smoother, but we'll see. We got this guy here hanging around. I don't know if he thinks he's going to pick up the slack from Steve being gone or what. What's going on here? You think I'm holding auditions for Steve replacement? Is that what you're doing out here? You looking to replace Steve? Huh? You're no Steve. Well, the firing order was correct. Here's what I did find. Inside the distributor cap. Doesn't look fantastic. A little center post there, it feels pretty weak and wobbly. Spark plug wires was a menagerie of oddball stuff, so it tells me maybe somebody's been dealing with this before. Rotor's not looking great either. I got a good, decent looking used rotor and cap here. I'll clean them up, put them back in. Spark plugs, I don't know, some of them look fouled. Look like they've been in there a while anyway. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot on into town, get a new set of spark plugs and plug wires. And I'll just clean up this used cap and rotor I got and try that. Alright, fresh new plugs and wires. I got the inside of that used cap all spiffied up. And it's about 20 degrees warmer today than it was yesterday. Let's see how she feels about life today. A lot better, but still got loads in it. I'll let it warm up a little bit. Maybe I'll mess with the static timing on the distributor after it warms up. Alright, it's probably warmed up as much as it's going to get. As you can see by the way the engine is still shaking, there's a lope to it. So I think I might have a dead cylinder or two. I guess we're going to test that. Sorry folks, I can't get very good video driving this, not with a stick, but yeah, this thing, it is no better than yesterday. It's an absolute turd. I think I got a dead cylinder too. I'm going to herd it back home. I can get it into third gear, but that's about all it's going to do. I'm not even going to try to get it in fourth. Right now I'm running in second. It's going to meander my way back home. I think just out of curiosity, I'll pull the plugs, do a compression check. If that's all good, it tells me there's probably something wrong with an injector or something. It doesn't drive all that great either, no doubt due to that bent frame. So I'm thinking I'm going to pull the plug on using this truck and maybe look into another option. Okay, I pulled the new plugs out. I mean, granted, it didn't run that long, but get over here in the sun. These are front to back. Looks like they all look pretty decent. I don't know, maybe number 2 right there. And number 5 look a little sooty. They all actually have a little bit of soot on them. Where'd they go? There they are. But I don't know, maybe it's because a couple cylinders are dead. The engine wasn't really getting up to operating temperature. I got the compression tester in number, what do I got there? Cylinder number 3, just because that's the easiest one to start with. Let's see what it says. Got the throttle bodies wired open. Hope I got it out of gear. Come on. Crank, you bastard. Don't have enough hands here. So we're looking at 150 there for cylinder number 3. Alright, there's my numbers. Cylinders 1 through 6. Not very much of a variation. I'm assuming that my problem is in my injection system. I might go ahead and try throwing a oxygen sensor on it, see if that makes a difference. But I haven't totally given up, but let's go on up in the field and look at option number 2. Alright, here's another option. This is a 78 or 79 F-150. It's not actually mine. I'm letting the guy store it here. I contacted him. He said he stopped driving it mostly just because of the cab mounts. front cab mounts were rusted out, and it was allowing the cab to sink and not allow the clutch to be adjustable. He said he thought he'd taken the brake booster off it, and yep, the brake booster and the master cylinder are gone. Radiator's gone. As you can see, it's also a 306. Got the 4-speed in it. Extended cab, flatbed. It's got a hitch on it. It's kind of arguably a better starting point, and probably not a bent frame either. Those missing parts, though, that could be a problem. I'll start pricing some stuff out and hit him up about what he's got to have out of it. Let's go show you option number 3 now. And our next candidate. This is my girlfriend's 96 F-150. She bought it new back in, obviously, 1996. It is also a straight 6, but it has the automatic, and it is a short bed. Because it's hers, I already know the history of it. It's never been abused. I think, let me recall here, it got parked because for some reason in the winter, when the temperature would drop below about 30 degrees, it wouldn't start, and then it would not start back up till the temperature got up into the 50s. There's some sensor on it that's bad. We just kind of stopped driving it. I think it's got a needs a ball joint or a steering knuckle on one side or the other, as I recall. And also there was something else. I did have this thing started up last summer. Oh yeah, there's a brake line rusted out on it. It has no brakes whatsoever. But I know mechanically it should be sound. It just, getting the steering and the brakes in order. It's probably geared pretty pathetic, like 275, like a car gear. And I would have to put a hitch on it and some better gears to do some towing. This actually would probably be the smart one to work with, because I know what's wrong with it. I know its history. I know the engine and transmission and all that are solid in it. I don't remember what the miles on it are, but it's not really terrible. But yeah, this would be the smart one to do. But yeah, who wants to do the easy one? That's why I picked the worst one first, and it's looking not good. But, okay, so I remembered I did have some oxygen sensors in the shop here from a previous project I didn't use, and it turned out they did fit this, but it made no difference. It still runs like a turd. From the research I've done, I believe the compression readings I got are good, so I think that the basic engine itself is solid. It's just something going on with the fuel injection that is not wanting to participate with me. I'll do a little more research tonight before I totally pull the plug on this. So I did try a few other things on this with no success. I'm pretty sure it needs a couple of new injectors, and not pertaining to that, but I have decided not to take this. The main reason I grabbed this truck first is because I really like Flaresides, or step sides, whatever you want to call them. Common sense has sunk in, and it's not because of the engine running poorly. It's because this has that light duty 5-speed in it. That's kind of iffy. The bent frame, I don't know how quick this thing's going to eat up tires. That would really suck to be going 100 miles and have it eating up tires and be constantly stopping looking for tires somewhere. Another thing is there's 2 of us going, and we are going to a swap meet, and we're going to be taking along tools, clothes, some extra parts. These Flareside beds, there's not much room in there. You know, there's enough room in the bed to take along the stuff we want, but what if we get down there and we find something at the swap meet we really want to buy? It was like, oh man, we don't have room in the truck. So those were the main reasons. So I am going to go with Plan B, which is the green F-150, the 78 that's up there in the field. And I actually have that in the shop right now, working on it, trying to get it going. But yeah, maybe I can think of something else to do with this truck later on. I think the engine's solid. That's it for this one. Give me some ideas of what to do with this truck if you would.